Hi, I'm Wendy Gale, and welcome to Dementia's Blurred Lines. There's a certain kind of grief that sneaks up on you, the kind that doesn't hit all at once, because life doesn't give you the space to fall apart. And for me, losing my stepdad was like that. It's been 2 years tomorrow, June 16th, and sometimes it feels like I'm still waiting for the moment I can finally grieve him in the way that he deserves. He wasn't just my mom's husband. He wasn't just the man who came into our lives later. He was my pops, my protector, my soft, burly, newspaper reading, toy run riding, high wind greeting, steady presence. And I didn't even realize how much he meant to me until he wasn't here anymore. I have so many memories of him, little ones, big ones, funny ones, and they all sit in my chest like warm stones. Like how every time I'd visit, he'd look up with a half smile and say, "Hi, wind." And that high wind was ours. It was familiar and it was home. And then there's a story of my very first car, the one he bought me when my daughter was just an infant. I didn't have a car at the time. I was a brand new single mom trying to make things work, trying to get around without depending on anyone. And I never asked him for much. Not a car, not money, not a lot. But one day he just showed up. He pulled up in this little beater, an orange 1979 Ford Pinto, with a car seat for my daughter in the back. And to anyone else, it might have looked like nothing special, but to me, it was everything, because he bought it for me and for my daughter. So we could get around, so I could be independent, so I didn't have to struggle. He didn't make a big speech. He didn't act like he was doing something heroic. He just handed me the keys like it was the most natural thing in the world. And I loved that little car, not because it was shiny or new. It wasn't. I loved it because he gave it to me, because it was his way of saying, "I got you," and he always did. There were times when my life was unraveling, and I'd stay with him until I'd get back on my feet. And every morning, without fail, he'd sit at the table with the newspaper, getting all worked up at the headlines. But instead of cussing, which I knew he could do, he'd bark out, "Oh, this is poppycock," or "This is baloney." And I'd just sit there giggling and thinking, "Sir, I've heard you cuss like a sailor. Who are you trying to fool right now?" But that was his morning ritual, and it made me feel safe. He had this protective side too, the kind that showed up when I didn't even know I needed it, like the time I brought a guy over there to meet him. And after he left, my stepdad, he pulled me aside and said, "I don't like this guy. He just wants arm candy." And I had no idea what he was talking about. So the next day at work, I asked an older coworker what it meant, and she explained it to me. And I remember thinking, wow, he thinks I'm pretty, and he was protecting me. That moment has stayed with me to this day. And then there was the toy run. My mom had hurt her back and couldn't go, so she asked if I'd go with him. So I bundled up, put on my leather jacket and chaps and boots, and headed over. When I walked in, he looked at me and said, "You ready for this?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You better behave yourself." All I could do was laugh, because I'd never misbehaved in front of him, and he knew it. But the best part is when we got there. He introduced me to his biker friends like he was, presenting royalty. "This is my daughter, Wendy. Don't stare or linger too long around her, or I'll knock the shit out of you." Oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed. I wanted to crawl under a bike or hide somewhere. But that was him. That was how he warded off creeps. And that's how he claimed me. And honestly, I had a blast hanging out with my pops that day. And then there was one more moment, the one that still sits in my heart like a quiet treasure. The day I got married, I asked him to walk me down the aisle, and the look on his face I'll never forget. He was honored, truly honored, like I had given him a gift. He stood a little taller that day. He held my arm like it meant something, and it did to both of us. Walking beside him, I remember thinking, this is my dad. This is the man who showed up for me. This is the man I trust to walk me into the next chapter of my life. And he did it with pride, with love, with the quiet strength. That was just him. But the memory that sits deepest, the one that still gets me, is the first time he held my daughter. His first grandbaby. He was spellbound, completely still, completely taken in. And I saw a tear in his eye, even though I pretended not to. He kissed her head and said, "You can call me Grandpa." And she did. From that moment on, he was her grandpa. And when the other grandkids came along, even his own blood, she didn't like sharing him because he was hers first, and he loved that. And then there's the day he passed. I had just visited him and my mom at the assisted living home. I barely got home when the phone rang, and they said, "Your dad has passed." I couldn't even talk. I handed the phone to my husband and broke down crying. And then I went to go get my mom because she needed me. She stayed with us for a while, and everything felt heavy and unreal and awful. And the truth is, I don't think I ever got a chance to grieve him, not really, because I was too busy taking care of my mom, too busy being the strong one, too busy holding everything together. This episode, this moment, this space, this is for him. And it's for me. Because 2 years later, I miss his presence. I still miss his aura. That soft, burly energy that filled a room without trying. I still miss the way he blended into our family like he'd always been there. I still miss the way he protected me, teased me, loved me, and claimed me. I miss hearing, "Hi, Wind. This one's for you, Pops." I hope you know how much you mattered, how much I loved you, and how much you still do. If you're missing a person taken by sickness or dementia, you're not alone. It's okay to miss them. It's okay to long for them. And it's okay to let yourself grieve them whenever you're ready. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.